I'm Tikatee with Questline Esports, and here's everything you need to know about Lucio. Lucio's passive is Wall Ride. Lucio can ride along walls and kick off of them, granting himself a small burst of speed. This can be used to move quickly around the map and even move vertically to high grounds with some good mechanics. His primary fire shoots a Sonic Amplifier, which fires a burst of slow-moving projectiles that will deal a moderate amount of damage. Since these are a projectile, they have no fall-off damage, which makes them great for farming poke damage from a safe range. Your secondary fire is your Sound Wave. This will blast enemies in front of you, knocking them back. You can influence the direction enemies are sent by changing your crosshair's position. Often referred to as Lucio's Boop, this is a great tool for disrupting enemies that get too close, or for knocking players off of high grounds or even off the map itself. His first ability is his Crossfade. This will toggle between two songs that grant Lucio and his allies passive buffs. The songs affect all allies within the range of your aura, which is shown in-game by a circle around Lucio. You can swap between healing your allies or providing them with movement speed. The healing isn't very significant on its own, but it's useful for patching up poke damage and for building your ultimate. The speed is a strong tool for helping allies move either towards or away from enemies, depending on what the situation calls for. Your second ability is Amp It Up. This will multiply the effects of your ongoing songs for a few seconds. The healing will become strong enough to bring allies back from critical health, and the speed will help you get the jump on unsuspecting enemies. Note that you can still change songs while amping, which can open up opportunities such as speeding into a teamfight and swapping over to healing once you've closed the distance. Lucio's ultimate is Sound Barrier. Lucio jumps into the air and slams his weapon into the ground, which will send out waves of overhealth for Lucio and his allies. This is an incredibly strong defensive tool, but there are a few things to note about using it. First, you have to hit the ground to cast it. This means that if you're starting high up in the air, it won't benefit anyone until you make your way back down to earth. You can also be killed or crowd controlled while casting it, so I wouldn't recommend starting too many sound barriers from the top ropes. And finally, the waves that are sent out require LOS, or line of sight, to your allies to apply them. There are multiple waves that are sent out over a short period of time, and any single wave hitting an ally will apply the full overhealth. So there is some leniency to using this ultimate, where you can sort of slide around corners to catch allies in it. Lucio plays the role of an enabler. He's more of a team player than a solo carry. Your positioning on Lucio is very flexible thanks to the nature of his wall ride. You can play it safe and stick with your team to grant them more uptime with your auras, or you can skate around the map looking for opportunities to dislodge enemies with your boot. My advice for playing Lucio is to find a reason to go fast. The strongest parts of Lucio's kit are his mobility and his speed boost. Look for opportunities to speed your team into vulnerable opponents, or wall ride around and knock enemies out of position. It will take some time to learn his mechanics properly in order to do this effectively, but the more comfortable you get with wall riding, the more plays you'll be able to find. You'll want to avoid staying too passive and relying on only healing, since pretty much every other support in the cast will be able to dish out more healing than you. Keep the healing going when it's needed, but keep your eyes open for a chance to speed things up. Now go trade in your APM for BPM and give the enemies one last dance.
I think I added too much bass to my new track.